What's up everybody, it's Instructor Smiley. Thank you guys for clicking on this video today. Today we're going to be talking about Ameriglo's first red dot, the Haven. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Ameriglo. Thank you guys for sending this to me to test out and give my thoughts on. So let's go ahead and get started. So the Haven, right? This is Ameriglo's first red dot. Ameriglo makes phenomenal iron sights and it's really nice to bring another competitor to the market. So before I start talking about the details of it, let's talk about the red dot industry right now. It's kind of flooded. There's so many companies making red dots at great prices, and at this point, it's great to be the consumer because now you have all these options to pick from. So let's now go ahead and talk about the requirements or kind of what you need for some of these optics to have more of an industry standard, what's going to make and break some of these companies and make and break some of these optics and why you would need them. So let's go ahead and first talk about the settings on some of these optics. So the only thing, this is gonna be the con first, the only thing that I saw on the Ameriglo that I was not super happy with was there was no real shake awake setting. So they are marketing this as an EDC optic. For that purpose, I will say that this setting meets the requirement for it if this is going to be your sole everyday carry. If you're like me, who carries one gun some days and another gun other days, just because you have that luxury to do so, then it may not be the best for you. For me, it would just be one of my checks. So before I leave the house, I check my gun, I make sure my ammo's good, I make sure my dot works, I make sure my flashlight works. Do a function check on my pistol, and I'm good to go. Some people don't. Some people like to pick it up and leave. I'm not that guy. But let's go ahead and talk about the setting. So it has a 12-hour on and a 12-hour off shake awake setting. It's really not complicated, but complex. So for 12 hours, the dot will stay on. After those initial 12 hours, if you set the dot down, the dot will shut off. If you pick it up after those first 12 hours into another additional 12 hours, so pretty much 24 hours total, the dot will turn back on. So again, like I said, if you carry this every day, you won't have to worry about it going off because it has a semi shake awake feature. It's a motionless feature, or a motion feature, excuse me. So if you're someone like me who may carry it, put it in the safe, carry it again a couple days or a week from now, you got to turn it on. Some of you may look at it as a pro because at that point it will save battery life. This uses a 2032 battery. It has 1 year battery life at the level 4. There's 11 brightness settings, there's 2 night vision settings, so that's all good. That's all industry standard. Let's talk about everything else. One huge factor that I like on this is the buttons. Again, this is falling along industry standards. The buttons are nice and big, they're large. So if you're someone that plans to fire with gloves on, or you just don't like small buttons like myself, I don't like having to kind of pinpoint and find the smallest finger or find that area to point it. I want something nice and thick, right? Nice and big, good area for me to tap that button. So that is on there. There is a nice feature too. It's a carry lock feature because the buttons are so big. I guess some people have difficulty or have issues with their optics going up or down in battery, or excuse me, in brightness when they're carrying it, depending on what they're wearing. I personally have never had this issue, but obviously somebody has if they've added this feature. So there's a setting where you can lock the actual brightness setting at that, and then your buttons will no longer work. You can turn it on and you can turn it off, that sort of thing. That's a nice, real cool feature if you're one of those people that has that issues. It does come in at a really large lens. It's a 28 by 16. So if you have not been paying attention for these subcompact guns, they've been making, in these full-size guns, they've been making larger optics. They just keep getting bigger and bigger. And that's amazing for us because the larger the optic, the easier it is to acquire your sights and acquire your target. So that's really dope. Besides that, let's go ahead and jump into my opinion of the optic. Initially, I was really weary of it. It wasn't cheap, it didn't feel cheap. There were just small details on it that I was kind of like, I don't know if I like that. So the very first issue or thing that I noticed was when I pulled it out, threw the battery in. It is a side loading battery if I did not mention already. So again, it's another box checked. It seemed like the emitter was fighting the battery for a second. And what I mean it means like the emitter would turn on and like kind of flicker, and it seemed like it was trying to just catch up. Could that be a feature of it just being a brand new optic and something that, you know, is just trying to get there? Maybe. I haven't had that issue since then. It's just something initially that I was mindful of, and I was like, I don't know if I like that. I'll keep shooting it and see where it goes. Something else that I liked a lot was the actual optic body. So if you pay attention to a lot of the optics that are made, they have this kind of over-the-top loop or rounded over the top. The Ameriglo actually has the bottom rounded, and the top is slightly rounded, but it's more straight. I like that. I like that a lot for the structural way that it is. They've tried something different. I have not done any drop tests. If you guys have been watching my channel, you know that's not what I do. I don't want to bang up these optics and send it back. I'll let Aaron handle all of that. But for carry use, because again, this isn't for a duty use, some people have different requirements for what they want to carry, and then for duty. Myself, I have my own reasoning for why I would carry specific optics for duty and for carry. Again, in a carry situation, you kind of don't have to worry about much happening or dropping your gun or banging it up against something. All those really weird requirements that people have to apply to stuff like that. But that's just that thing. But let's go ahead and talk about price. So it's coming in MSRP at $379. That is kind of right above a little bit of a budget optic, but that's MSRP. I was able to search, I found it on Amazon for $229, right? So that goes ahead and bumps it down to a budget entry option. In my opinion, phenomenal option for budget. It definitely sits on par with some of the red dots, a little bit above it. Again, this is not a duty optic. So when you're getting it, please don't expect it to be super drop safe or the glass to stay in, all that other stuff. It's for carry. So the purposes and the actual damage that's gonna be caused to it are meant for a lot less than a duty optic. Besides that, I had no actual issues. It does have an industry footprint of the RMR, which again is super nice for us because the RMR footprint is kind of the staple in the industry right now for that footprint. They do have the Delta Point, or they don't have the Delta Point. Some companies use the Delta Point footprint. Not a huge fan of that, but it's out there. It is what it is. So, but that's kind of it. There's not much to go into it. I definitely do suggest this optic. In the beginning, I was a little bit wary. Like I said, I had got 500 to 700 rounds through this. I don't track them round by round. I kind of just shoot and total up later. It definitely handled everything. I am currently shooting it on my FDES Comp 320 slide. I had no issues with the rounds ejecting into it and messing up the glass. It kind of took all the brute recoil of it. Slammed it a couple times against some wood, but nothing crazy like I mentioned, and it held up fine for me. Definitely something I suggest. I 100% would carry this. Unfortunately, I do have to send this one back to Ameriglo. I might purchase one though, because again, that price, you really can't beat it. $229, it's not gonna hurt me to continuously run this optic. So again, that's kind of all I have for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, send this to a friend, and be on the lookout. There's a lot of reviews coming up soon that I think you guys won't wanna miss. Thank you guys, have a good one.